You're busy, you've got a decent practice, but nobody wants to be decent. You want to be great, and you want to have a great practice. So how did the most productive, profitable dentist in the nation balance real life, work, and profits, and somehow make it all seem fun? Well, it comes down to simple, everyday practices. So grab a lunch, join us as we chat with top clinicians and influencers to discover their formula for uncommon success. Are you ready? Then it's time to explore everyday practices with Vicki McManus-Peterson and Dr. Chad Johnson.
I am so excited. You get to meet one of my very best friends and clients of all time, Dr. Joe Valenzi. Joe and I met when he was down near Daytona, Port Orange area, Florida. But previous to that, he has such a deep love and thirst and knowledge of dentistry. He was graduate from the University of Pennsylvania, but he also was a professor at Yale and taught in Connecticut, and was a very, very smart man, figured out the economy crash of the 80s and 90s. Connecticut was never coming back. So he did the smartest thing and the hardest thing a dentist could ever do. He did like Jed Clampett. He put everybody in the truck. He drove to Florida, and he started all over. So, Joe, welcome. We're so happy to have you here today.
It's an honor to meet you, Dr. Valenzi. Oh, I love being here, and I'd love to tell everybody about what you guys have done to help me in my career. You guys have really fostered me getting to the point where I'm at. So I hope other people can get there too.
Hey, Joe, Chad is one of our newest Grand Slammers. He's been in this club for a couple of years now, so he's a high producer. But man, oh man, you were one that just started that whole club. You have been productive for so long, and it's been a pleasure watching your growth, observing you, like from a coach's perspective, but just, oh my God, I'm in your admiration club of how you built your team. And I want to go back in time and talk about that. But the most interesting thing is you got out alive. You have a great life after the handpiece. So can we just start there? Like, what are you doing? How long were you a dentist in total?
I think I practiced for 38 years, I think.
Okay, so you started when you were 20.
So let's see. So if you're starting like when I got out of dental school.
Yeah, you're a prodigy.
So let's see. I got out of dental school in 78, and I retired. I mean, I sold my practice in 2015. I continued to practice for about another year and a half as an associate in the practice after I sold it. And it's been 2 years since I've been retired. So I don't know, you have to do the math there. But it's been a lot of things in between there, as you alluded to.
What phase was the most fun?
Oh, retirement, for sure. Retirement is awesome. It's so good.
All right. So, I mean, that begs the question. What are you up to? Everyone's going to be different on their ability because of health and, stuff like that. So what are you up to?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why I feel so incredibly fortunate is that I was able to retire early enough. I think I was 58 when I sold the practice and not quite 60, I think, when I finally hung it up for good. And my health was good enough that I was able to continue to do things. So, my love is bicycling, and I've always bicycled recreationally and, just on weekends and things. I never was a golfer. I didn't really have a lot of other, physical hobbies, but I always enjoyed riding my bicycle. And so once I had the time, I got to the practice sold and I had the time to spend doing it, I hopped back on my bike and kind of repeated in reverse a cross-country trip that I had done after high school in 1974, where I took the northern route across the country. Going across Glacier, by the way, Chad, since I know you had just done that.
Yeah.
So we kind of went back the other direction with my daughter, and that was a really special trip. And then I just repeated it again this spring, doing the southern route. I went from San Diego to St. Augustine, Florida. That was a 52-day trip. And that one was, unlike the other ones, which were self-supported, kind of just get on the bike and figure out where you're going the next day. This one was a was an organized trip that you pay for, and while we camped and slept in a lot of YMCA's and gyms and National Guard armories and things like that. It was, they cooked for you, and your plan was pretty much set. So that was a little bit more civilized.
But, hey, that's still not at my level. I want glamping. I don't.
Right.
Well, the cooking was pretty good though, Vicki. They had a professional chef with her couple of mobile kitchen units. So we ate really good. I'm not quite sure that the tents and things we would call glamping, and it's not like your RV, but it was far removed from just pulling into town and looking for a place in the village square to set your tent up and hoping that there's an open outhouse there.
Oh my God.
That's intriguing. Very cool.
So Joe, you retired at 60, and you were in, dentistry is brutal on your body, right? But you were still fit enough to ride your bicycle 52 days straight across country. Tell me, can you go back and pinpoint one or two things that you might have done throughout your career to take care of your back? Did you do posture training? Did you have a workout routine? Like, how did you physically endure 38 years in dentistry? Because I meet young guys in their 30s that are complaining already about, man, I don't think I'm going to make it to 40. So how did you sustain your body for your career?
I know what the right answer is here.
Yeah, but did you just get lucky?
I have the worst positioning. Anybody that knows anything about ergonomics would walk into the room and just cringe because, I've got my head in the patient's lap, and because I feel bad for my patients, and I don't want to take my 80-year-old patients and turn them upside down,
right,
and put their head in my lap so that I could see that number 14. So, I would do things to make my patients comfortable. So, no, I really, I didn't have great ergonomics. I've always tried to do, some, weight training, and I continued to ride my bicycle, but I didn't do yoga. I didn't have massages. I think, I think a lot of it is luck. Just
that
physiologically
sounds a lot like when the local reporter interviews the 103-year-old and says, "How did you get this far?" And they say, "Cigarette a day and booze."
Yeah. The oldest woman in the world, who was that French woman? She smoked. She smoked every day, and she had she had her wine, but she smoked. Yeah, so a lot of it is luck. Honestly, for me, the most debilitating thing is the mental strain. I really believe that that once I stopped and you really have perspective on the whole thing, I think that most dentists are really go through PTSD afterwards, because the constant time pressure and dealing with patient expectations, and if you're a compassionate person and you're really trying to help your patients, you're taking on their stress and their frustrations and their angst, and you're trying to make it better, right? So you're trying to empathize with the patients and present a treatment plan for them. And you're saying, okay, you've got your high school reunion coming up, and your daughter just married some loser drug addict, and you're running out of money, and you're trying to put that all together, come up with a treatment plan that makes her look good for her graduation, but won't break the bank, and you have a deadline, and the lab sent the wrong color crown, and you've got all this stuff, and you do that every day, and you do that under a time schedule with every patient, and you're getting interrupted 14 times by your
well-meaning team.
Right, your team, and the person who's inspecting your x-ray machine, and all of these interruptions. So it's so hard. We have such a hard profession. Anybody who's not in the profession really can't understand it.
No.
Especially if you, I shouldn't say that it happens to everybody, because if you don't care, it's not stressful, right? The crown fits well enough. Just grind the opposing tooth, and it'll be fine.
Right.
but if you care, then, the stress level goes up. So, I mean, I have nightmares regularly still. I've got patients lined up in the hallway of some school that I have to sedate because we did IV sedation, and I've got to sedate 7 patients at once and place implants on them. And I know it's impossible, but that's what's presented to us. And then every day in our schedules, we're given this hand of cards, this schedule that was created through all of the amazing machinations of our front desk team and all these other things. And you got to try to play that the best you can. And that's what we're used to doing. I mean, we're not used to saying no. You're trying to make it work. So in my dreams, I'm still trying to make impossible situations work. So I know that's what took that out of me and gave me high blood pressure and sent me to the emergency room a couple of times because my pressure was totally out of control.
Joe, man, I love you. I didn't know if you were really going to get this deep and this personal. I am so happy that you are, because you have always been one that just said, this is the way it is. And over the last couple of years, I've really been doing a deep dive into energy medicine and emotions and things like that. And I mean, there's just such scientific evidence that empathetic connection and that emotions actually send out chemical signals and shock waves for 5 feet. So the emotions of the patients, the emotions of the team, your emotions, all of that, I mean, they're infectious, they're contagious, they get on you, they get in you. And to hear that even 2 years after retirement, these are still the things that weigh on your mind. I think that's just a window of opportunity for everyone to say, let's find ways to take care of ourselves. Let's find ways to decompress. You add that too, you got little sunshine hearts like me coming in going, hey, could you smile a little bit more? It'd be really great. Did we do that to you when we were coaching? I mean, how did that help de-stress? You had such a phenomenal team. Oh my gosh, what a phenomenal team.
I do, but it shows that you have to, you can't just manage to, the dollars in the schedule. You have to take care of your emotional health, which is, I mean, your physical health too, because you can't be stressing. I mean, you just get physically tired if you're working without a break. And
right.
Part of the genius of what Bruce gave to me and showing me how to schedule on things is how to be productive and scheduling adequate time, because he was not a person who is like the pride system where, you're managing to every minute that you have to account for so that not a second is wasted in your day. I mean, that's just a killer for you might as well just put a gun to your head if you have to try to live that kind of life.
The X's and the dashes and the perfect day.
Yeah.
The perfect day.
Yeah, perfect day where I don't have any chance to not have that handpiece not be turning. That's the perfect day. But Bruce, I had time.
It doesn't work.
I had time to do stuff. There was time to check hygiene patients, and there was extra time in there and still be productive. So you got to make sure that you have that within your day if you don't want to get a cerebral aneurysm and prematurely end your career.
And Joe, I know.
Well, Chad, I mean, you're still practicing, right, Chad? So you're dealing with this.
Yeah, I'm 13 years in, and I've looked at my career as when I first graduated, I was I was 25, and I thought, okay, what if I could do 40 years, and so every 10 years, it'll be the end of a quarter if I look at this as a game, and if I get more than 40, it'll kind of be like going into overtime, some bonus extra credit. And I'm even trying to, 3 years ago, we did our 10th anniversary. We had a barbecue and had a patient celebration to kind of celebrate the end of my first quarter. And I try and look at it, as a big, long game, and it's not a race to run and sprint through, but it is a marathon. And I was telling Vicky lately how even my shoulder, neck, trapezius rhomboid area has been tighter lately than, when 10 years ago. Just yesterday, I turned 39, and I'm a high PPO office. We've got 8 chairs. I've got an associate. I run pretty much 4 hygienists full time. I only do Monday through Thursday for working, and we start our patients at 6 a.m. and I finish at noon, and then the associate, Dr. Emily, takes over and works 9 to 5. So our office is open 6 to 5. I'm only there, in the morning, so I do 6 straight hours, and then she books it the rest of the day. And then I get to spend my afternoons doing kind of odd end things and more constructive things like meeting you. So I'm really grateful for Vicki helping introduce me to awesome grand slammers like yourself in more ways than one.
And you know what, Joe, you're never going to brag on yourself, but I want, as part of my introduction to you and Chad, because I feel a great mentorship. You are such a heartfelt mentor. That'll be something that I have a feeling will be with you the rest of your life. But I know you've had 2,600 hours since you graduated the University of Penn.
Of CE.
Of CE. So give me your street cred here. What are all the alphabets behind your name? You're a fellow in this and a member of that and blah, blah, blah. Tell me what your service mix looked like and how you got there.
Let's see, Associate Fellow of American Academy of Implant Dentistry, Fellow ICOI, International Congress of Implantology, Master of the Academy of General Dentistry. I was IV sedation certified, went through certified for the millennial laser, LANAT procedures, courses in, CAD-CAM. I think we had first got our CAD-CAM machine back, 2006 or something, so a long time ago.
Yeah, you were early in it.
Nice.
We got our scanner, 3D scanner in 2010, and I'm just a general dentist, so I'm not a surgeon, but we were doing enough implants that made sense. I don't know, it took after the masters, the MAGD, I've taken thousands of hours with, the Las Vegas Institute too. And, I was a CE junkie. So I always felt like I had to give my patients the best that was available, and I had to know what was out there.
That's very cool.
Kind of looking back on your path, do you have any, we talked to Magna Dasani yesterday, who is just an incredible dentist, general dentist, and she really became passionate about sleep apnea. And then what she figured out though was that I'm taking all these clinical classes and I'm coming back really frustrated because I'm not getting momentum with it in my office. It was like a great idea that, it took her almost 6 years to get her workflow for sleep apnea going. And so now that she's patterned that workflow, things that she wants to bring into the office next, she now has a clear checklist of this is what I expect from my team, this is what I expect from my patients, this is what my patients can expect from me, and this is how it goes. So looking back on it, what would you say would have helped you either decide what clinical pieces you wanted to bring in or how you would workflow it easier so that you got your team up to speed with it and you didn't waste time?
Well, we kind of had that figured out, in the later years, not in my early years, but I think it worked out pretty well towards the end. So that when I had something new, like let's say we were going to introduce the laser and I'm investing at the time, maybe, $60,000 or so in it, plus maybe 4 weeks of continuing ed out of the office in California to learn that. So that's a significant investment, right? So, right. I knew I wanted to make sure I got a return on that. Plus, I had already done my homework beforehand to make sure that I thought it was a viable treatment and something, worth spending that much time in. But as I'm learning this during the first week of it and getting ready to introduce it, I'm taking notes on how I'm going to introduce it to my team. And I had just a meeting where I had the whole thing presented. I'm selling it to my team even before I'm selling it to my patients because I want them to be pumped. and to be knowledgeable because people are going to ask about it. So,
Right.
I presented enough of the research and why I thought it was something worthwhile to do, and how it was going to work, and how many treatments, and what patients can expect, and why I'm excited about it, and just educate them, and then work with my staff to figure out the cost, how much we would charge patients, and how the treatment would flow, so that they had the information that you could tell the patient at the first visit it's going to be this, second visit it's going to be that, so that they had all the tools to answer the questions. And then, of course, when you start doing it, to keep everybody jazzed, you have to make sure that you spend time allowing your staff to come in and chair side or stand over your shoulder and watch and celebrate the success and see how amazing it is, because, if they've seen flap surgery beforehand, which any experienced staff has seen a traditional procedure like that, they'll be able to immediately see the difference and the benefit of it, and then you can pretty much get off to a pretty good start with that.
I love that. And can I brag a little bit too on you as a leader, but also how you surrounded yourself by excellence? Bruce talks about that. Chad, you talk about that a lot, and being able to delegate. But was so blessed to work with Lisa Rogers in your office. She was your office manager, and I love that she was a former school teacher, right? So the two of you created this really cool thing, and I can't remember how it goes, but it was called Mad Skills, because you kind of woke up and you went, I love to teach, but what I figured out is that I don't stop teaching and my assistants never start doing. And so one day, I think you literally just snapped and said, oh my God, I need to start delegating and stop teaching. So do you remember that? Do you remember the Mad Skills?
I don't remember how we implemented it, but yeah, I mean, we wanted people to have a list of skills that they needed to master and to demonstrate, and kind of be checked off on, because we wanted them to move along and to be able to do everything that you can legally allow to be delegated, and be good at it, so they didn't have to worry about it. So yeah, it became like a school program,
Yeah, I just remember she gamified it. She had a poster. You got your gold stars, and everybody celebrated. And
that was Lisa's genius. I was never good for the gamifying and the making it fun part, I gotta say.
And you did have a really cool grab bag.
Oh, the grab bag! That was magnificent. Is that still being used or no?
Chad, do you guys grab bag?
Yeah, we do. Right now, we change it around. Actually, we don't do a daily one all the time. Sometimes we set a monthly goal. Sometimes we set a weekly goal, and sometimes we do it a daily goal. Right now, we're doing collections on a weekly basis. That's through the end of the year. That's kind of our focus right now. And then I switch it up so that way we're not fixated on one particular stat.
That's good. That's good, Chet, that you fix it up, because those things, everything seems to run out of steam when it's static. But it is highly motivating, at least in the short term.
Yeah, that's fun.
And it's so much fun, isn't it? I mean, to just reach in and grab handfuls of money out, man, that is the most motivating thing.
I love that. And I love that yours was the first one I saw that the grab bag actually played music. I think you open it up and it played Celebrate Good Times. Good.
No kidding. That's fun.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot that.
Yeah.
It was great.
And I don't know why you were wearing a cowboy hat one time, but yeah, the posters that they would make with your face on it, you really allowed your team to have fun with you, and poke fun at your leadership even. And you were a strong leader. I mean, you were almost like with military precision, like it was a naval academy, yet you still found a way to let them in and have fun. How did you do that?
Well, I felt like the staff needed to have ownership always, because I felt we really are partners in this thing, because I'm totally unable to achieve my success without them, right? I mean, there's nothing that I can do to drive the practice forward. I have to have them be on board. So I really want them to feel like owners. So if you're going to be an owner, you have to be able to make decisions, and you have to have serious input. And so giving people responsibility and ability to make mistakes, ability to make a difference in things really helps get them to buy into the whole thing. And if they can't do that, then they shouldn't be on my team, because this isn't a team where I'm just going to be telling you what to do every minute. You got to use your head, and you have to, as long as you know the principles and what the purpose of the practice is, you can figure out the right thing to do in that particular situation.
Yeah.
So once it's no longer me doing everything, then yeah, they'll feel a little bit freer to criticize me or tell me to get going, stop playing around with that, give me the evil eye, and I'll listen to them, because I know they're not doing that to be mean. They're doing it because they know we've got things, what they know what the big picture is.
That's cool. Dr. Valenzi, I've got a question for you. So was retirement kind of a fourth quarter thought, or was it a second quarter thought when you were looking at your 38-year career? At what point did you start investing, and what did that look like for you? Was it basically, I'm going to sell my practice, that's going to be my retirement, or did you have other kinds of plans, different 401k kind of stuff? How did you go about structuring the thought process for your retirement?
I got to say, at the beginning of my career, I was not very savvy my family had bought real estate. My father was in concrete construction. So, nothing medical, nothing white collar going on there. So I didn't know about investments at all. And of course, at first, you're just so happy to just get out of dental school and have your first practice and be able to pay your bills. That's kind of everything. But I had a friend who was a mentor to me and just started getting me thinking about first IRAs and then pension plans, and introduced me to other consultants who preach the right kind of financial management thing. So I started doing investing. Let me see. I opened my first IRA in 1990. So that would have been how many years after I got out of dental school? 8 years after I got out of dental school. Okay. So I had done nothing for the first 8 years of my career. Hadn't invested $1, negative net worth.
Yes.
And then I practiced for 12 years in Connecticut, as Vicki was saying, where my practice sucked.
How do I say this?
I gently said, and you packed up like Jed Clampett and you left town, but you said it a little more correctly, probably. It was hard.
Yeah,
you know what? I coached in Connecticut for years. That's a tough place to make a living, man.
It is, but the nonsense that I was being taught at the time, maybe people still say this, is, it doesn't matter where you practice. It's, if you just do this and you do that, you're going to be fine. And of course, there will be people who succeed in any environment, but I didn't have the skills at that time. I think if I went up there now and started a practice, I probably would be okay. But as a younger dentist, without the marketing skills and the leadership skills and the treatment skills and the speed and everything else that you gain through your practice, I was just floundering. So I did use consultants, and was still going to continue, not just for my skills, but for practice management. But I just was not making headway. I was banging my head against the wall, and getting really depressed. I was really ready to leave dentistry. My wife works for GE, which is still a company at the moment, although I have to look in the papers to see if they finally closed their doors. At the time, they were a very good company.
Right.
And she had opportunities to go to Europe and to go for the brass ring. She has a Wharton MBA. And I told her, I said, I'm fine. Let me look for some kind of teaching opportunity or some kind of educational opportunity in Sweden or something. because I'm ready to sell this and just, I'll be the house husband and you can go earn the money. But she really wasn't into me being the house husband.
So what you're saying is that retiring at 58 was a delayed dream for you.
Exactly.
How dare she take that from you?
I know. I could have been great.
You know what, Joe, you mentioned marketing there just really briefly, and we were just starting the PDA marketing group when web and all that was like, it's weird that we're like pre-website people. But I want Chad to hear what you did, because like YouTube was just becoming a thing, which I know this sounds archaic if you're a millennial and you're listening to this, but get over yourself, okay? Not everything was digital in the past. So you grabbed that so fast, though, and you said, here's the thing. I really know that my patients have to understand all of this stuff, but I'm really kind of sick and tired of smiling as I say, so the decay has now gone through the tooth into the nerve, and it's caused this abscess in the tooth, and we're going to be able to do a root canal. So you were genius. You just literally you were podcasting. You did audio and video and threw it on your website. So every possible question a patient could ask was there. Tell us what that did for your practice and your case acceptance and case completion, because it blew my mind at the time you did it.
It was pretty neat, because you do those sorts of things and you're just talking to yourself in some room and you don't know if people are going to actually listen to this stuff, but when, after I had a body of work out there addressing different topics, like different alternatives in periodontal treatment or root canals, crowns versus pulling teeth, bridges, implants, all that sort of stuff, I would actually get patients coming in and I would say, well, you're going to lose your tooth here. We can do a bridge, or we could do it. And they would say, I know, I listened to your podcast. I want to have an implant there. Yes, that's awesome, because I could spend a half an hour on my podcast talking about it, not in excruciating detail, at a patient level, but not talking down to anybody, giving them really good information and being honest, just like you're honest to your patients all the time.
Right.
But they can hear that in a very non-stressed situation, because they're listening to it in the comfort of their home. Yes. They're not having to make a decision right there, or, they're going to schedule, what's this going to cost? And, you can talk about all that, and they can listen to it a couple of times. So they'd come in already very educated and kind of pre-sold.
I'm going to have to say thank you. I mean, this conversation today is just reminding me of some of the things you did to become such a highly productive dentist and delivering with integrity. And even today, I don't see a lot of our clients taking the time to do it at the level you did. I mean, why do you brush your teeth? Well, here, we think a soft toothbrush or a manual toothbrush. I mean, everything they could ever ask. You didn't ask your hygienist to do it, although I think they probably did some. You just took the leadership role there and said, hey, I love to educate my patients, and I don't want to spend 30 minutes during the appointment and run off schedule. So that's
Did you also do those with post-operative instructions?
Ooh.
I don't think we did, no.
That's a great idea.
Something I did.
It's always crossed my mind is just to send a follow-up email saying, here's a link to YouTube about post-operative instructions for an implant and stuff like that.
That's brilliant,
terrific,
Chad. That's brilliant.
There we go. I'm going to take it I'm standing on the shoulders of giants.
Bringing home the bacon, man. Bringing home the bacon.
There it is.
Oh, Joe,
and if you're doing a video one, Chad, it would be great. I mean, just something as simple as like post extractions, teaching a patient how to take the gauze and fold it into quarters so that it fits in the space of the socket, so they're not just biting it on the surface of their teeth.
So there's pressure.
Right. I mean, that people don't get that, and that's the critical part, right? They've got to put pressure on the socket. So if you could show that visually, that would be tremendously helpful.
And showing how much a quarter teaspoon of salt is if you want salt water rinse. Right. Like
a lot of times I joke around and I say, listen, it ain't rocket science. And that just goes over well because I'm just like, don't overcomplicate this matter. It's, it's okay. Just do simple.
Yeah. Joe, thank you for being with us here today. I could talk to you and we're going to have you back because you have so many pearls of wisdom. We do try to respect our listeners' time here to about a half an hour so they can get it into the workout. But man, oh man, Chad, was this great or what?
It was wonderful. Pleasure to have met you today over the phone.
Well, we hope we can meet someday in person, Chad. I would love to talk to you.
I suppose I could go down to Florida and we can make that happen. So we've
Maybe
got one final question before Vicky
trip.
signs off. What's that now?
Maybe on my next cross-country bicycle trip, I'll stop wherever you're at.
Iowa.
Maybe in the summer. Yeah,
Iowa.
That would be okay. Like June, not July when it's deathly hot. But yeah, maybe we could do a little riding through Iowa together. Gentle hills.
All right, sounds good.
But before Vicky signs off, we've got one final question for you. And so here's how it works. I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to give you two choices, and you're going to say what first comes to mind. It's not a right or wrong kind of thing. This is just lighthearted, okay? Bacon or eggs?
Eggs.
Eggs it is. There you have it, listeners.
All right.
Important
Great to
topic.
talk to you guys.
Bring your lunch or take us to the gym again next week to improve your everyday practices. Also, subscribe on iTunes, follow us on social media, and sign up for our email list. Now get out there and win with everyday practices.